Hi, I'm Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this month's Project of the Month. This month we're going to create a bag in the hoop. We're going to have a zippered pocket. We're going to have a divided pocket so you can put your jump drives in it to carry with you to class. And on the outside of the bag we're going to put our monogram. So I want you to put your cursor over the Floriani icon on your desktop and double left mouse click. As we do this, our Floriani software will open. When it opens, the first thing you're going to see is My Floriani Today. This is our banner screen, and it comes up each and every time you open your software. This screen has a lot of helpful information on it. If you are connected to the internet, if there's anything new we need to talk to you about, it's going to appear right up here at the top of this screen. In the hoop, you'll see several help items that you can go to get help or answers on some of your questions. And at the bottom we have Create a New Design, which we will be using today. We have Open a Design, and that way you can open any existing design in your computer and work with it. And then we have Open Recently Used Design. That is one of my favorite features of this screen. There have been several times when I have worked on a design either late at night or have been interrupted and had to close down my computer and run and do something else. And then when I've come back, I have no idea where that design is. So by using the Open Recently Used Design tool, it will bring up the last design you worked on in your software without looking for it. We're going to create a new design, so I want you to left mouse click on Create a New Design and our screen will come up. Now I like to create my workspace so that it works for me, and I create it different for each design I'm doing. In this case, we need to set up a different grid system. So I want you to come up to the top corner on the left hand top of your ruler bars, and I want you to right mouse click. This is going to bring up a drop-down menu for us, and you'll notice we have several options before us. I can change between metric and inches as simply as clicking it. And I can do it even in the middle of a design, and it will change all my settings automatically. Today we're going to use inches, so that is checked. I do want it to show my grid. The grid is one of your best tools that you can use to digitize with. And then I want you to go down to Grid Settings, and I want you to left mouse click. You get your options box open. Now the first thing I want you to make sure is that your Maintain Aspect Ratio box is checked. We are going to set this grid up to a 1/4 of an inch grid, so we are going to set this at 0.25 inches. Our vertical will mirror our horizontal because we have our Maintain Aspect Ratio selected. Now you have a little box below that. It says Snap to Grid. I want you to make sure you put your cursor there and left mouse click. We need a checkbox in that option because when we're going to draw a lot of straight lines for this project, this will keep them snapping onto the grid so your lines will be perfectly straight and it will give us a good crisp design. I want you to put your cursor over your OK, and I want you to left mouse click. Our workspace has now been set up to work for us. I want you to bring your cursor up to the top bar, and I want you to go to your artwork tool. There is a little arrow that's a drop down arrow next to that tool, and I want you to left mouse click on that button. We will come down and we will select Rectangle. You'll know that it's been selected because you now have a rectangle hooked on to your cursor. I want you to hold down your left mouse button, and as you pull on your mouse, it is going to draw a rectangle. When you let go, you have created a rectangle on your workspace. Now we used our artwork tool, so these are not stitches. This is as if I took a pencil and I sketched on my screen. This will not stitch out at this point. It's merely a visual. I want you to come up to the top left-hand toolbar, and I want you to put your cursor over your selection tool and left mouse click. This will automatically put selection boxes around our rectangle because in digitizing software, the last item you digitize is always the item that it will default select. So now that I have selected that, I see a couple of things. There is a center to my rectangle, and it's indicated by this black X. If you notice, we have a round green circle in the center of our screen. And look at our ruler bar. You'll notice that that green circle is at 0, 0. So we can use this screen to work for us because we can see all of our measurements on it. I want to make sure my box is centered with the center of my screen. So I'm going to put my cursor onto it. You notice it turns into a little hand that's grabbing that X, and I want you to hold down your left mouse button, and I want you to pull this down and drop that center in the center of your green circle. If it's not exact, I want you to hold down your control key with your left hand, and using your right hand on the arrow keys on your keyboard, you can nudge this down until that X looks like it's perfectly centered inside the circle. Once you let go, we are now centered. I want you to come over to the right hand side at the top of your software. You have a properties box here. Now this box will always show you everything you can do to the object selected. It's always available in front of you. So we are going to left mouse click on the transform button because I need to change the size of this rectangle to match what I'm doing in the software. We are going to go to the width box, and I'm going to put in 5 inches. Now you notice my height automatically matched for maintain aspect ratio. I do not want that to happen, so I am going to deselect this box because I want my height to be 8 inches. So I'm going to type my 8 in there. I am going to come down to my apply, and I will put my cursor over it and left mouse click, and I have now applied, and that box is now 5 by 8 inches. If you go up into the center of your top toolbar, you will see a little drop down arrow right next to where it says 200%. I want you to tell it to fit this design to screen so that we can see our whole design. You notice it's still 5 by 8 inches, and our grid is still 1/4 of an inch sections. So we have a good visual of space and size. This is 8 inches tall. Now if you notice, the center point is at 0. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 inches is along our top, and then we have -1, 2, 3, and 4. Across our top, we're at 2.5 inches and 2.5 inches because the center of our 5-inch width. The next step we're going to take in here is we are going to actually turn this box into stitches because I want this to be a placement line on my stabilizer for my fabric, for my zippered bag. So I will now right click, and I have an options box come up. I am going to scroll down till I get to convert to, put your mouse on it, and you notice you have a further options over here. We are going to come over and we are going to put our cursor on run, and we are going to left mouse click. That just turned this piece of artwork into stitches. So now it's no longer just a visual. This will actually stitch out. I also have my stitch length. Now since this is going to be a placement line and not a construction line, I don't want it to stitch so close together. This is about a 3 millimeter stitch. 0.12 inches is about a 3 millimeter stitch. I am going to make it about a 4.5, so I'm going to backspace and tell this to be 0.16. Remember, you have to left mouse click on apply to make it real. Now I have that straightened out there. The next thing I need to do is create a zipper placement line because we are going to put a zipper into this bag. So I'm going to select my run stitch. So left mouse click on your run stitch. We are going to continue with our same color, and I want to go down 2.5 inches for my zipper placement. So I can come from 4, 3, 2. That is now down 2 inches, and I want to come down another 1/2 inch, which would be 2 1/4 inch squares, and I am going to left mouse click, and you'll see a stitch point. I'm going to drag this across, and you notice when it snaps to grid how it hangs onto that line. Even when I move around, it will always grab an actual 1/4 inch point. So we're going to come straight across. We are going to left mouse click. Now we have a beginning and ending, and I'm going to right mouse click to make that stitches. So now I have my zipper placement line 2.5 inches down from the top of my bag. The next step we would do, if we think through the progression, is we are now going to lay the zipper down in our hoop, and we are going to have to stitch that zipper down. So I want you to grab your run tool, left mouse click, and we are going to come down here and right mouse click on color 2, come up and left mouse click on apply color, because I want a different color now. I am going to stitch down my zipper. I'm going to go 1/4 inch above this line, so that's at our next grid line. And I am going to left mouse click, go across all the way to the other side. It's going to grab that line because we have snapped it to grid. And I am going to left mouse click. I have my beginning and end point, and when I right mouse click, I now have stitches. Now I want you to select that line. Come up to your selection tool and click it. Remember, it's going to select the last object you digitized. Now we have to think when we digitize, we need to think about where do we have starts and stops to stitch out a design the most efficiently without having a bunch of run or jump stitches all over our design. So I'm going to come down to the third icon on the left hand toolbar, which is my shape icon, and I'm going to left mouse click it. And I want you to notice we have a red dot, which is our stop, and we have a green dot, which is our start. You notice I started digitizing from the right hand side. Now let's click on our zipper placement. Perfect. It started on the left, stopped on the right, then when I started digitizing again, we started on the right and we stitched to the left. So the next line we put down, we would want to start on the left hand side of our screen. So let's go ahead and grab our run stitch. We've got color 2. Let's go ahead and make sure, right click onto it, left click on apply color, and now 1/4 inch below your placement line, I want you to go ahead and left mouse click at the beginning, left mouse click on the end, and right mouse click to give us stitches. So now we have stitched our zipper down. The next progression in this design is I need to add a piece of fabric above my zipper. My zipper stitched down. I have this nice outline to follow it by for my fabric, and I am going to take a piece of fabric and I am going to lay it right against the teeth of the zipper, but now I need to stitch that fabric down. So I am going to make sure I've got my run stitch by left clicking on it. Move to the next color on your toolbar. We're just going to move right up the color wheel here. I'm going to right mouse click on it and I'm going to apply the color. So I have now stitched this down. I laid my fabric down, and now I need to stitch it down. So I am going to go right over the top of this red line. I'm going to left mouse click. On the left hand side, I'm going to drag this across, left mouse click, at the end, and I am going to right mouse click, and it is going to become stitches. Now, I don't remember where did I stop the last time, so let's get our shape tool. I want you to left mouse click on it, and I want you to click on our red line here. Well, we notice that it stopped at the right hand side. Well, if I go to my green line and left mouse click on it, I've got this crossing all the way over. So let's change our start and stop point. I am going to take my stop, I'm going to left mouse click holding my mouse down, and I'm just going to drag it off the end there. I'm going to left mouse click holding my mouse button down on my start point. I'm going to drag it to the end. Then I'm going to take this and drag it to this end. And I want you to notice you've got a line across here that is our jump stitch, how it was going. Now when I click off of that, what have we got? Let's see. I've got my stop here and my stop here. That's wrong. So let's go ahead and drag them back. Just so you can see, I want you to practice with your start and stop points so you can see how easy that is. Now you notice how clean your design is. So we have now stitched down that top piece of fabric. Now we're going to lay our bottom piece of fabric down on the bottom half below our zipper. So again, we're going to get our run stitch, left mouse click, move up the colors in progression. We're now on color 4, right mouse click on color 4, left mouse click on apply color, and now we need to go ahead and stitch this down. So I'm going to left mouse click, and right mouse click. And I have now stitched down the bottom half of my zipper. Now these lines are actually going to hold that zipper in place through a lot of use. So I really don't want it to go in with just a single stitch. So I want you to get your selection tool, go up to the top left hand toolbar, left mouse click on your selection bar, and it of course selected the last thing I digitized. I want you to come to your properties box on the upper right hand side. I want you to go to your drop down menu, and you'll notice I have some options for this stitch. Now right now it is a standard single stitch. I want to make this a bean stitch. A bean stitch is a triple stitch, and I want that not only for durability, but it's a nice aesthetic look like top stitching on your bag. So we are going to left mouse click on bean, and we are now going to apply that. So now I have a triple stitch here instead of a single, and I'm going to come up and do the same thing with my green line. I'm going to select it by left mouse clicking on it. I'm going to select bean. Do not forget to apply. And now those are now triple stitches instead of single stitches. So let's look at it. Now let's come over here in my tree view. Let's select the run stitch under my green. It should be a bean stitch. Maybe I didn't apply it. There we go. Now when I select my run stitch under my green, it is now a bean stitch. Let's look at my run stitch under my red. It is also now a bean stitch. So we have selected them, applied it, and now we can check here in our menu. Now this menu, our tree view, has a lot of nice information. Remember I told you when we drew this blue box, this is just a placement line for us, as well as the zipper placement line. In our tree view we have a real neat option. I can left mouse click on the word run, put my cursor at the bottom corner, and left mouse click on it again. Do you see how now it has made the box bigger, and it's going to allow me to type in? So I can type in that this is merely a placement line, and I can click off of it and it will stay there. I can left mouse click on the bottom corner. It's going to allow me to type in. Now this was our zipper placement line. So we could actually go through and edit these to tell us exactly what they were at a glance. So this is a really nice feature because you can put in your notes. This was the eye. This was his left hand. So if you needed to go back and do something at that point, you wouldn't need to start clicking through the pieces to look at it. You'd know right away, this is my placement line. This is my zipper placement line. And you notice as I select them, they highlight it on the screen. So if I needed to change either one of those, it would be very easy. Now we could go through and continue to name, but you get the idea. The next thing we need to do here is we have got to put in a bottom for our pocket. If I have a zipper here and I unzip it and I drop something in this bag, it's going to fall all the way to the bottom of my screen, and I don't want it to do that. So I need to put in a line across that is going to stop and give me a bottom to that pocket. So I'm going to pick my center point, which is the 0 line. So I want to again left mouse click on my run stitch. I want to move along in my progression of colors. We're now at color 5. So right mouse click on color 5. I want you to apply color. And I want you to start at the 0, and I want you to move to the other side. Again, left mouse click, and right mouse click will give you your stitches. Now, do you notice this cursor? It was here before, because wherever you end, that cursor stays. So I would know to start my next line if I was going to go back across on the right hand side, because I can see this is my end mark, and that would show me without going to my shape tool. But I think these are important tools for you to know how to use, so we have been going to our shape tool. Again, I want to select this, so I'm going to go up to my arrow, and I'm going to left mouse click on it. It has selected the yellow line, and again we want to turn this into a bean stitch, because that bottom of that pocket is going to get a lot of use with stuff being put in that pocket. Now we are going to put a mere tack down line along the bottom of this shape, because we have got fabric, and I just like to tack it down so that it doesn't get folded up or bent or anything. So we're going to put a line in here. I want you to again make sure you have your run stitch selected, left mouse click. I want you to come to color 6, right mouse click, apply your color, and we are going to come up a 1/2 inch from the bottom, and we are going to left mouse click, go across, and right mouse click. Left click and then you're right, and it makes it a real stitch. The reason for this line, again, just picture we've got fabric laying down here loose. It's been tacked at the zipper, but we have, you know, a few inches here where that fabric is loose, and I just want to tack it down and make sure it's held down nice and taut, so when I put my bag together I don't have to worry about it. We now are going to lay a folded pocket down on the bottom half of this bag, and we need to stitch our vertical stitches in it that are going to hold our jump drives. So we're going to move up the progression in color. I want you to right mouse click, and I want you to apply color, and I want you to come over 1 3/4 inches. So I can come over 1 inch, and then 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4. I want you to left mouse click there, and I want you to come up 2 3/4 inches. So we're going to come up to 3, 2, and then we're going to count up 3 more grids, so we're at 3/4. So now we are at 2 3/4 inches. I want you to left mouse click and right mouse click, and now that has made your stitch line. Come up here and select it by going to the top left hand side of your toolbar, left mouse click on your selection tool, and I want this again to be a triple stitch. So we're going to select bean, and I want you to apply it. Now normally we would start our next one to go back down. We would start it here at the top and come down. But because we've got a piece of folded fabric here and the fold is along this top edge right here, if it stitches up, your foot comes across and starts to come down, it could get caught under that fold and then you got a mess. So in this case, we are again going to start at the bottom and come up when we digitize. So click off. I want to make sure you have run stitch, left mouse click on your run. Again, I want you to right mouse click on color 7, left mouse click on apply color, and I'm going to show you a shortcut now. Before I ever draw this stitch, I can tell it, I want you to be a bean stitch. Apply that, and now I don't have to draw it, select it, and then change it. So I'm going to come across 1.5 inches over. So we can come over 1, 2, 3, 4 is an inch, and 2 more makes it 1.5. I'm going to click right on that line. I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I am going to left mouse click on that one, and then I'm going to right mouse click, and I have created a bean stitch. Now see, I went over and down like I told you we were not going to do. So we're going to select that. We are going to delete it, and now we're going to start over by left mouse clicking on our run stitch. I want you to make sure you right mouse click on color 7, apply color. We still have bean because we just selected it last. So now I'm going to come to the bottom and count over 1, 2, 3, 4, that's an inch, 5, 6, there's our 1.5 inches. And now you're going to come up and you are going to left mouse click and then right mouse click. And now that is done properly. So we will have laid our little folded pocket down. It's going to stitch 1 division in it. It's going to create its 2nd division. So now all we have left to do is stitch our back to our front, right sides together, and we now need to create that stitch. So I want you to come to your artwork tool, and I want you to select your rectangle, and again I want you to move along in the progression of colors. Right mouse click on color 8 and apply your color. We are going to draw a box just like we did to start. So I'm going to draw my box by holding down my left mouse button and drawing a box. I drew a small one. We are going to select that. Again, I would take that box and I would center it. And I'm sure you drew your box much bigger. If you need to nudge it with your control key using your arrow keys while holding down the control key. Go to transform. Now the finished size of this bag is going to be 4 inches wide by 7 inches long. We have a full 1/2 inch on each side so we can trim and have room if we move our fabric a little. So I am now going to apply that. Apply. What have I done wrong? Let's try it again. 4 inches by 7 inches and apply. I am going to redraw that box. So I'm going to come back up. I'm going to get my rectangle, make sure that I have color 8 applied, and I am going to draw a box. I am then going to use my select tool to put my handles around it. I'm going to grab the center of the box. Remember, when it turns to a hand, holding down my left mouse key, and I'm going to drag it to the center. Once it's there, I'm going to hold down my control key with my left hand and nudge this down with using my arrows. I'm going to go to transform up on my right hand properties box, left mouse click, and we are going to change that width to 4 inches by 7 inches, and we are going to apply that. And now it is set perfectly within our placement line, 1/2 inch left around all sides for our seam allowance. Now that I have that, remember, this is just artwork. It is not a real box. It's not going to stitch. We are going to digitize the box we want around this. So again, selecting your color 8. Well, I'm sorry, we need a tool first. Let's go and left mouse click on our run tool. Come down here, right mouse click on color 8 and apply your color. We are going to start down here 1/4 inch to the left of our vertical line that we have stitched into our pocket. So I am going to left mouse click. I'm going to come up and left mouse click on top of my new box, my inner box, 1/2 inch up. I'm going to go over to the corner of that box, up to the top corner. Now we're left mouse clicking all the way around. Remember, it's going to grab that. If you're not exactly accurate, it's going to grab that point because we have snap to grid. And we are going to come short 1/4 inch before this vertical line that we stitched in. And then we're going to come down to our placement line, and we have left mouse clicked all the way around it. So you're going to see blue squares. Now right mouse click, and it is going to give us our stitch line. Now we had selected a bean stitch and it has held that. I do not want this to be a bean stitch, so I'm going to go up to my selection tool, the top left hand of my toolbar. I'm going to left mouse click on it. It's going to select those stitches because they're the last things I digitized, and I am going to change this to a 2-ply stitch. I want it to go around twice so that it is secure, but I don't want the heaviness of that triple stitch when I turn my bag. So there is my 2-ply. I will now apply that stitch, and that is now complete. Now the artwork line, once you save it, that is going to disappear because it was never stitches. It was merely a visual for us to use. So you have now completed your bag. You can construct a bag in the hoop with this. So think. You can now put a zipper in the hoop. So if you wanted to create a bag with 2 pockets, you would know how to do it. You can make it as big as your hoop will allow. You could make it for credit cards. So think now, you now have the skills. You have learned how to create an object that is done in your hoop. This is a great lesson. You've learned several things in this lesson. You've learned your shape tool. You've learned how to use your tree view. We've worked some with properties. We've changed types of stitches. We've changed the length of a stitch. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a second design, because our next one is going to be putting our monogram for the outside of our bag. So we're going to come and we're going to go to File, Save As, and remember, the first time you save anything, always save it in the native Floriani format, which is the C2S. So you would change this and you would name it Bag in the Hoop, Jump Drive Bag, whatever you want to name it, and save it. Then you would come back and you would go to File, Save As, and now you would save it as the format your machine stitches out. So if you needed a brother or baby lock, you'd save it in your Pez. You could save it for your Artista, your Bernina in EXP. You can save it for your Janome. You've got for your FOF, your Vikings. All your formats are here, so now save it a second time so you can take it to your machine. Now we're going to come up to the top left-hand corner of our software, and we're going to put our cursor over the thing that looks like a new piece of paper. This is to create a new design. We're going to left mouse click, and I am going to get a new workspace. Now the workspace holds the last settings I gave it. So let's come up to the top left-hand corner of our ruler bar, and I want you to right mouse click on it. I want you to come down to our grid settings and left mouse click. If you notice, our grid is still set at 1/4 of an inch. We still have our snap to grid, so it held the settings. If I need them different, I would need to come in here and change them. So we're going to leave them the same for this, and I'm going to say OK. Again, I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to come up to my artwork. I'm going to left mouse click on my drop down tab. We are going to select rectangle. I am going to, holding down my left mouse button, I am going to drag it down, let go, and I'm going to come up here to my selection tool on the upper left hand corner of my toolbar. This now selects my object. With our box selected, again I'm going to put my cursor over my middle X. When it turns to a hand, I know he's holding on to it, so now I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and I'm going to drag it and center it in my green circle. Holding down your control key with your left hand, using your right hand, use your arrow keys to nudge this into perfect position. There we go. I want to transform this box to a specific size again, so I'm going to select transform. Again, I want to set this at 5 inches by 8 inches, so it's an inch bigger than my finished product, 1/2 inch all the way around, and I will apply it. Come up to your view box here on the top where it says 200%, left mouse click on the drop down button and go to fit. Now we've got the box on our screen. Again, I need this for a placement line on my stabilizer. So I'm going to right mouse click, come down to where it says convert to, and I'm going to convert this to a run stitch. We still have bean here for some reason. I want to go to standard. I want to change it to 16, and I am going to apply this. So now I have a single running stitch at about a 4.5 stitch length, 4.5 millimeters, and that is going to be my placement line for my fabric. So this will stitch out onto my stabilizer. I will lay my fabric in here. This way it will hold the place. When we put our monogram on this, we know that it will be centered perfectly on our purse, because our bag, because we are using this outline as a placement line. So now we're going to add a monogram to our bag. I want you to come up to the M on the top right hand side of your toolbar, your top toolbar, and I want you to left mouse click on it. Come down just anywhere on the bottom of your screen and left mouse click. It's automatically going to put whichever alphabet you had last is going to come up, and it's going to put a letter down here on your screen. So now we're going to change this. The first thing I want you to do is in your text box, I want you to left mouse click with your cursor, and I want you to backspace the ABC away. I want you to hold down your shift key on your keyboard, and I want you to put in your first initial, your initial of your last name, and your middle initial. Mine is Lita Quinn Kathleen. My name is Lita Kathleen Quinn. So there's my monogram. If you come to the drop down box below the monogram, below the preview box, left mouse click on it, and you will see anything that says mono or anything with an M in front of it is a monogram. So as you can see, you've got lots of choices to choose from. I am going to select monogram 2. That's the one I chose. You can certainly choose a different one. Now let me tell you some differences. When you look at the ones in green, they've got artwork and scrolls to go with them. Let's just take a preview at some of these other monograms. And you'll see that some of them have all the artwork they need all by themselves already on it. So you can actually scroll using your arrow keys up and down and look through these. You can also go into your help and look in your contents in your manual, and you can go to a page where you can look at all of these printed out as well. So you could look through and see if there wasn't something you really liked that you wanted to select different. But I'm going to come down, and for today's exercise I'm going to ask you to try and stay within the green. So I'm going to select monogram 2. I wanted 1.25 inches high, so I'm going to type in 1.25 inches. On the type, I want to make sure I have monogram selected. And we have a little box here called Decor. Now the decor in this box was created specifically for this exact font. So I could try the different decors. Let me try one that's going to be like a shield. So I'm going to pick that and I'm going to apply it to my monogram. Okay, I may or may not like that look. I could try another one. Let me try the grapes. Okay, and I could go through and pick the one I like. I decided to choose this artwork because I just liked it. Of course, you can choose anything you want. That's the wonderful thing about the Floriani. All of these monograms down here have their own artwork. They're all different depending on the monogram. Let's go ahead and just pick a different one so you can understand what I mean. If I pick this monogram and I come, you notice my artwork is all different because the artwork was created specifically for the font. So I'm going to go back and pick my monogram 2, the one I like. I've applied it. I'm happy with it. And now I'm going to, whoops, I forgot my decor. Apply. There we go. Now, of course, I'm going to take my monogram and I am going to center it here. Now, remember, you've got the 0 line right here. See, I can pull it down the 0 line and I can make sure that it is centered. Now, I've got about 3/4 inch from the bottom. Got a little more from the top, so I might move it up just a little bit. So I've kind of got it from the center of my bag. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I might move it up just a hair more, but just where I like it visually. Anywhere in the bottom half of that will be fine. So once we've got that where we like it, we have now completed this design by putting a monogram on it for the outside of our bag. So again, I'm going to come to File, Save As. Now in this case, I can even use Save to Sew. This isn't a big design or a lot of, density or anything, but I can pick my Save to Sew. And you could have just as easily put a design on this bag rather than a monogram had you chosen. But we're going to go Save to Sew. Now these bags are being constructed on quilt cotton. So I'm going to come down here and select. If you look through, you can see you've got lots of selections. I want you to look through and see what all you can select from. Very, very nice. So we're looking through all of our goodies. So you can see we've got quite a few choices. So I could turn around and choose. I think for this I'm actually going to choose muslin because that's about the weight of the cotton I'm using. Now I digitized this myself. You will notice that we always have 3 choices here: muslin, muslin auto, and muslin bold. Muslin would be if I digitized it myself with all my own settings, and we did that. So I would pick muslin. Or if you brought in a design that you had in your computer, you would select muslin. Muslin auto would be as if I auto-digitized it. Or had I digitized a design that had density and pull compensation, I would have picked auto. And muslin bold is like the lettering you see on the front of caps or maybe on a jacket back where you want that to have a little more density for effect. You've got the three choices. I'm going to pick just muslin. I'm going to say next. I'm not going to hoop my fabric. I'm going to say no because I already know I'm not hooping this fabric. I'm going to go to next. I'm going to add Walter's style settings that would happen if I did this with muslin. It happened very quickly because there's not much stitching there. I'm going to go to next and it's going to tell me exactly what stabilizers I would need to use. And then I will finish. And so now I will name, of course, my design. I would name it Bag Monogram. I would save it first in my Floriani format. Then I would come back and I would save it in the format I need for my machine. So you have now effectively created a bag in the hoop. You have done a monogram for the outside of the bag and have learned lots of new skills this month. I want to thank you for coming to the project of the month, and so stick around because now we're going to stitch it out. Thanks for coming.